Ladies and gentlemen, what you build around you is a reflection of what you believe within you. A home, a patio, a space. It is not merely a structure of wood, stone, or steel. It is an extension of your values, your rhythm, your heritage, and your vision. Today, I want to speak not just about a design, but about a philosophy of living. The modern rustic farmhouse patio is not just a trend. It is a return to what is authentic, what is timeless, and what is real. In a world obsessed with the artificial and the disposable, this patio tells a different story. It whispers of roots, of craftsmanship, of the dignity of the raw and unfinished. The log furniture you see is not perfect, and that is its perfection. It's not polished to hide its age. It's shaped to reveal its history. Every ring in the wood tells a story of endurance, of growth, of surviving winters and storms, and still standing. Design with purpose, not just aesthetics. Design is often mistaken for decoration. Many believe that the purpose of design is to impress the eyes, to appeal to taste, to fill a room with what is trendy or fashionable. But true design begins with intention. When we talk about designing a space like a modern rustic farmhouse patio, we are not merely selecting textures and tones, we are selecting values. What message does a raw log send when placed in a space filled with sleek lines and polished concrete? It speaks of grounding, it speaks of endurance, it reminds those who sit upon it that life is not built overnight. It is carved, layer by layer, shaped by time, much like the log itself. That is purpose. When design becomes meaningful, it transcends utility and becomes philosophy. Aesthetic design can be copied. Purposeful design is lived. When someone walks into a space that was designed with intention, they don't just see something beautiful, they feel something. They sense that every item has a reason to exist. Every line has direction. Every shadow is deliberate. This kind of design does not entertain. It engages. It draws you in and tells you a story. It gives you a reason to pause. That is where transformation happens. Many people today invest in spaces that look good, but don't feel right. They follow catalogs and influencer trends, hoping that beauty will translate into comfort. But comfort cannot be copied. It must be created, and that creation begins with purpose. Ask yourself, why this space? Why this space? Why this material? Why this arrangement? And most importantly, what does it mean to me? The answers to these questions are the foundation of purposeful design. Design with purpose asks deeper questions. It demands clarity from the one creating the space. Who is this for? How will it serve them? What values are being expressed here? When you design a patio to gather family, to watch the stars, to hear the laughter of children, to host stories by the fire, you are designing with purpose. You are not simply building a seating area. You are crafting a sacred place for connection. That is what makes it meaningful. The log furniture isn't just rustic, it's intentional. It invites people to experience the beauty of imperfection, the richness of natural textures, the authenticity that modern life often forgets. Even the sleekness of a modern element, when done with purpose, contributes to harmony. It's not sterile minimalism for its own sake. It's a conscious decision to bring balance to the rustic. The clean lines anchor the wild grain. The contemporary materials highlight the organic textures. Together they create a dialogue, not a contrast. Aesthetic design may stop at making things match. Purposeful design makes things speak. It makes old and new cooperate, not compete. When you begin to design this way, the focus shifts. You no longer begin with Pinterest boards or mood palettes. You begin with meaning. You ask, what kind of atmosphere do I want to cultivate here? Do I want stillness or celebration? Do I want people to feel at home or in awe? Do I want this space to reflect solitude or togetherness? Once you answer these questions, the materials will choose themselves. The layout will emerge naturally. Purpose leads, and beauty follows. There is a danger in designing for the eyes alone. Vision without purpose produces noise. Pretty noise, but still noise. A room filled with impressive features can still feel hollow, but a space designed with intent will always feel full, even if it is minimalist. The purpose fills the space more than any object ever could. It breathes life into walls and floors. It turns cold architecture into warm memory. Designing with purpose is also an act of leadership. Your home, your space, your patio, these are not just where you live, they are where you lead. People who enter your space are entering your world. They are being influenced, whether consciously or not, by what you've chosen to surround yourself with. And so, if the space says rest, people will rest. If it says peace, people will find quiet. If it says welcome, people will open up. That kind of design cannot be bought. It must be built from belief. Purposeful design also requires restraint. Just because something looks good does not mean it belongs. A space designed with intent will be curated, not crowded. It will say more with less. It will prioritize meaning over style, longevity over novelty, and it will age gracefully, because purpose does not expire. A log bench may crack, a cushion may fade, but if they were placed there with meaning, their value will grow, not shrink. Designing with purpose also connects you with the past and the future. When you place rustic elements into a modern setting, you are reminding yourself that progress should not erase memory, that modernity and heritage must walk together. The roughness of wood reminds you of where you came from. The sleekness of stone points to where you're going, and the space between them, that's where you live, not just physically but philosophically. Harmony between tradition But true harmony is found when tradition and innovation are not at war but at peace, when they are allowed to complement each other, not compete. The modern rustic farmhouse patio is a living example of that balance. Tradition is the anchor of design. It connects us to roots, to stories, to values passed down. It carries the weight of what has endured. When you sit on a rustic log bench, you're not just using a piece of furniture, you're engaging with a legacy. The rawness, the imperfections, the grain that runs deep, these are not flaws. They are the fingerprints of time. They remind you that what is old is not outdated, it is seasoned. It has earned its place. In every crack of wood is a story. In every texture, a memory. Innovation, on the other hand, brings clarity and progress. It simplifies what tradition sometimes complicates. It reimagines the form without disrespecting the function. The sleek lines of a modern sofa on a rustic patio don't erase the past, they enhance it. They provide the comfort, the clean structure, and the functionality needed for today's living. But they do it in conversation with what came before. That is where harmony begins, not in isolation but in collaboration. The balance between these two forces, tradition and innovation, is not accidental, it is intentional. It requires listening to both what was and what is becoming. Tradition asks, what has always worked? Innovation asks, what can work better? When both are given equal respect, the result is not compromise, but elevation. The rustic log furniture grounds the space. It speaks of craftsmanship, of nature, of origin. The modern outdoor living elements refine the space. They speak of evolution, of intelligence, of future-forward thinking. Designing a space that reflects this harmony is not about mixing styles randomly. It is about choosing elements that honor both the past and the present. It's in the way a weathered wood beam holds up a sleek glass canopy. It's in the choice to pair antique iron lanterns with soft LED lighting. It's in the decision to preserve the soul of the farmhouse while embracing the comfort of modern life. Each piece plays its part, not louder than the other, but in rhythm with it. Harmony also means that nothing feels out of place. When tradition and innovation are unified by purpose, the space feels seamless. The old doesn't feel like a relic, and the new doesn't feel intrusive. Together they create a sense of timelessness. A space like this doesn't belong to a single era. It transcends trend. It becomes enduring, because it understands that wisdom and progress are not enemies, they are partners. This kind of design invites a different kind of thinking. It challenges you to see the value in what has been, while still reaching for what can be. It asks you not to discard tradition in your pursuit of style, but to include it, not to imitate innovation blindly, but to shape it with intention. It is a mindset of respect and creativity coexisting. In a modern rustic farmhouse patio, that coexistence is visible. The exposed wood tells one story, the smooth surfaces tell another, and together they tell a greater story, one of integration, of balance, of belonging. A story that says you don't have to abandon the old to embrace the new. You don't have to choose one aesthetic voice when both can sing in harmony. Spaces reflect identity and values. Every space you create or inhabit is a silent reflection of who you are. It speaks when you do not. It reveals your priorities, your rhythm, your beliefs, and the atmosphere you choose to cultivate. A patio, a living room, a kitchen, these are not just physical locations. They are manifestations of internal truths. The design of a space is never neutral. It always says something, even when you say nothing. Whether intentional or unconscious, it broadcasts identity and echoes values. When someone walks into a space, they immediately sense what matters to its creator. Is it order or spontaneity? Is it warmth or formality? Is it community or solitude? These questions are answered not with words, but with materials, layout, lighting, and tone. A modern rustic farmhouse patio, for example, reflects more than a taste in decor. It reveals a longing for balance, a desire to blend simplicity with comfort, elegance with authenticity. It shows that the one who designed it values the presence of nature, the grounding influence of raw materials, and the innovation of modern living. The choice to include rustic log furniture is more than aesthetic. It reveals a value for what is natural, what is enduring, and what carries the mark of time. A log bench, unpolished and imperfect, is a declaration. It says that perfection is not the goal, honesty is. It shows that this space is meant to connect, to gather, and to slow down. It tells guests that the host is not trying to impress with shine, but to welcome with sincerity. Every knot in the wood, every groove, carries intention. At the same time, the inclusion of sleek modern elements signals clarity, refinement, and a value for progress. It shows that while the past is respected, the present is embraced. That tradition does not limit innovation, and innovation does not reject tradition. The combination of these two speaks volumes about the person behind the design. It reveals someone who values harmony, someone who sees strength in contrast and finds unity in diversity. Spaces become mirrors when designed with self-awareness. They no longer copy external trends, but express internal convictions. A minimalist space may reflect a desire for peace and focus. A layered, eclectic space might show a celebration of creativity and history. A balanced, modern, rustic environment speaks of someone grounded yet forward-thinking, someone who values story as much as structure. Values such as hospitality, comfort, and connection can be embedded into the physical layout. A large central table, a fire pit, wide seating areas, these all reflect an open posture. They are invitations, not decorations. They embody the principle that space should serve people, not the other way around. When you prioritize flow, comfort, and warmth, you are declaring that people matter more than perfection. Designing with identity also means embracing your uniqueness. You don't need a home that looks like everyone else's. You need a space that sounds like your voice, reflects your journey, and supports your way of living. That is why authentic spaces feel alive. They are not just filled with beautiful things. They are filled with meaningful things. They are not merely styled. They are inhabited, lived in, and loved. Even the colors you choose carry emotional weight. Earth tones reflect calm and connection to nature. Natural textures speak of honesty and simplicity. Light, whether soft or dramatic, controls mood and reveals focus. Each element, though small, builds toward a greater expression of who you are. The more thoughtful the choices, the clearer the message. In the end, space is an extension of self. To ignore it is to ignore a part of your voice. To design it with care is to give your values a physical form, one that others can walk into and experience. When your space aligns with your identity, it strengthens your presence and reinforces the atmosphere you want to cultivate in every area of life.